true.
Just generally how we think zombies would be. But we were talking about it not baseline like you would in like a kindergarten class or something where you're just like...
They didn't cover that in my kindergarten class.
Well, I mean, you know, when you're out at recess talking about stuff in a stupid way, more or less, we were talking about it like down to a base level. Mm-hmm. Like if it were a pathogen, what kind of pathogen would it be? How would it be transmitted? Would it be transmitted, or would it be something that lies dormant in the bloodstream? What would it be?
Yeah.
And then how would it be transmitted from one person to the next? Would it be by bodily fluid? Would it be by standard infection? We got into it pretty deep. Mm-hmm. And now we want to gather an audience and talk to other people about what you think the basis for zombies would be.
So just give us a whole rundown, five paragraphs or more, how it's going to happen.
1,200 words, double spaced, Times New Roman, and
if
12.
I don't see indents, I won't know where a new idea starts.
And cite your sources, bitch.
Yeah, even if it's a movie, I want technical info.
Oh, and for reference, so we had this conversation, and we knew what we were going to talk about on the podcast.
Yes, we did.
So, I guess to keep the palate warm, we watched,
what's it called?
What was the name of that movie?
What was it called? Come on. Well, it wasn't Train to Busan. We watched that 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, we watched Train to Busan one, but it was Cargo.
Yeah, there you go.
It was Cargo with Bilbo Baggins.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me get my dog out of here. Joe, come on.
You mean Martin Freeman?
Bilbo Baggins.
Well, I thought he. Well, yeah. Frodo is Elijah Wood. Right.
That's Elijah Baggins.
Who was in Back to the Future? In case you're wondering.
So what I don't like is bland zombies, right?
Yeah.
And to me, a bland zombie.
Would you consider Walking Dead bland zombies? Because they're not really technically zombies, or I mean, they're called walkers or whatever, right?
I would consider Walking Dead zombies bland zombies.
Okay.
Just because there's nothing behind it.
What about
like they tried to get into the science of it?
Yeah.
For like all of an episode,
Mm-hmm.
And then they're like, "Oh shit, this isn't going anywhere. Hydrogen bomb, blow the whole thing up."
People don't care about this. Time for a plot device.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing to it, and I understand. Like most people watching zombie flicks or zombie shows want the blood, they want the gore, they want the instant gratification.
Yeah.
I want lore, man, because zombies have been around since how long? When did zombies start?
They started in Haiti in like the 1700s.
Like they've been around forever. They've been in horror movies like wet dreams since the beginning of the horror genre.
Well, I don't know about in that perspective, but yeah, perhaps.
Like I want to see something cool, man. Give me a reason. Give me something that makes me think about it and
Please
get into
give me a reason. I dare you.
Like I'm a horror movie buff. Like I freaking love horror, and zombies to me are so played out because there's nothing to it. It feels lazy at this point, you know.
Well, I mean, the same thing we said about a lot of things, like Dracula and Frankenstein. It's been done 100 times, so if you don't make it special, then it can come across as bland or boring.
It's a brand muffin.
Especially with that new Dracula series, where there's like the whole first episode about how he might be gay. I mean, that's not really exciting. That doesn't really. I'm not just like, oh gosh, I wonder,
I mean, well, I think he swings either way, but that's not important. We're talking about Zambos. We're talking about zombies.
Are zombies gay? We're trying to discern that.
I don't think zombies are sexual creatures.
They're not breedable, are they?
No, I don't think.
If they were breedable, would it produce a regular human, or would it still be a zombie, like by immediate infection?
All right, so hold on. We could dig into that.
Well, that's why I asked.
So
I didn't ask so that it could just be washed over.
Let's put the hypothetical in the sense of like once you get bit.
Yeah.
It does start as like a slow bloodborne infection.
You have like the 48-hour thing in Cargo.
Yeah. Like in Cargo, where it takes 48 hours and you have a limit.
Yeah, at most 48 hours.
So let's say someone's been bitten, and they fuck someone that's not been bitten.
I guess that's one way to put it, yeah.
They commit coitus. Is the baby gonna be a zombie, or is the baby gonna be like a human with a dormant virus? Like the virus is dormant, kind of like people have herpes, but they don't have herpes.
I see. I was going full sin. Where both parties were zombies, but yeah, I guess.
Well, I mean that it just gives it more context because like if it's a thing where like bodily fluid carries the virus,
if it's passed like HIV.
Yeah, like if bodily fluid carries the virus, would simply the act of having sex, the passing of fluids, would that get the other person infected? There's so many variables, but there's like no one's talked about the variables, so no one knows.
I'd say there's a 99% chance that if a male zombie were to try to impregnate a female woman, that there's a lot more stuff on his mind than impregnating the female woman because they typically eat anything fleshy material in front of them.
I think if the person is
Now, if a deranged scientist proposed this,
yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I think there's like if it's like Cargo, and in Cargo you get bit and you have this little watch, or these characters did. You have this little watch and it counts down for 48 hours, and you know that the virus takes full effect after 48 hours. But I think you start getting symptoms after what, like 3 or 4?
Yeah, I think it's like 3 or 4 hours. You start spasming and you get weird like eye mucus or whatever.
So let's go off of the grounds of Cargo.
Okay.
And Cargo, it is.
So we're going on the basis that you are infected but not corrupted, and you then impregnate a woman.
Yeah, and this virus is passed through fluid.
Is that how it's passed, or is that how we assume it's passed?
I don't think so. I think it's no. I don't think that's it.
Because it's kind of like what is it? Or like an animal bites you and you get a disease.
Yeah, like rabies, or not
kinda
necessarily
like rabies, but you know.
I don't know. There's a lot of wheels turning in that kind of context.
And could it be like an immunovirus or something like that, where if you were to impregnate a woman at an early enough stage, you would be exposed to it, but able to develop an immunity to it?
That's true.
That's a possibility.
And that builds me on to the idea of
a savior of the wasteland that's immune to the zombie virus.
We'd have to build this.
Yeah.
So, going off what you're saying.
Okay.
There's this virus, and everybody has different immune systems that have different.
That's real. That part's real.
Yeah, different capabilities. Do you think if there were a virus that turned people into zombies, whether it be like an hour or 48 hours after being bitten, do you think there would be certain people whose immune systems are adapted or will adapt based off of whatever's going on, and they'll be able to get bitten and be okay?
Well, that part really depends on like where their immune system's at, from my understanding of biology. Because when Americans settled in America, when we killed all the Native Americans, they died mostly from diseases that they weren't exposed to, so they had no immune system to them.
Yeah.
If a zombie virus was like that, then it would be like a maybe 5% chance that anybody survives it, because you would have to build an immunity from first exposure.
And then it becomes a rat race, because if it's a pathogen and it's a new pathogen, it obviously needs to survive, which means it's going to evolve, which is what we talked about previously.
Yeah, we mostly talked about evolution of a zombie virus last time.
Because a virus is going to, like, if it's a bacterial thing, it's going to adapt to weather climates, it's going to adapt to medicines.
It's going to attempt to. A lot of bacteria can't adapt quite very far in temperature-wise.
I don't know. There's so... That reaches such a level of depth for me, because you have the human condition where we're evolving, but we normally evolve pretty slow, I'd say. And then you have viruses which are sporadic and fickle, and you don't know how they're going to adapt and evolve.
Here's a kind of out of the realm question. Do you think that there's a possibility a movie could fit that much material and information into it to make a zombie movie that has like that kind of depth?
Absolutely no way.
What about like a TV show? Do you think they could still have something that's interesting, but still go through all of this throughout seasons or whatever to describe what a zombie virus could be in that like in-depth, detailed sense?
It wouldn't. It'd have to be implemented. Like you couldn't do all that at one time.
It's like, I mean, even with like a Star Wars type prologue, it would be very difficult to make someone understand exactly how a zombie virus works in this scenario.
There's a lot to it. And then it's the mentality of like, can we adapt fast enough? Because it's going to take generations. Because you watching this, if a zombie outbreak were to happen,
are you prepared? Get prepared. Oh.
You would not feasibly be able to evolve your immune system faster than a pathogen could evolve itself. I don't.
I also keep forgetting that the camera's not my laptop, and I keep staring at my laptop. For emphasis, I'm not. You're not here. You're actually here. So yeah.
It's kind of baffling to me. And I mean, obviously, I don't think there's ever going to be any real like zombie scenario yet. And then the main thing about these movies, I've seen a few zombie movies where this isn't the case.
I've just seen a few zombie movies in total.
I've seen a few zombie movies where this isn't the case. But typically in a zombie movie, the only creatures that are affected by the zombie virus are humans. Mm-hmm. All the animals are fine.
Except for in Cargo and in Train to Busan.
Yeah.
Both of those did it.
They had zombie animals?
In both of them, I believe.
Yeah, there was a zombie deer in Busan.
And there was like a zombie raccoon or something. I thought. Maybe not. I don't
I
know.
don't know. But like
It's definitely a possibility according to Train to Busan.
Oh, what's up, Christian? How are you?
How come he gets a shot? I see like 16 people that have logged in.
Well,
say their names.
They're just watching. Well, some of these people aren't here anymore.
Oh, did he actually say something?
Yeah, he said Tim.
Oh,
that's me.
He's not talking to me, so I guess I don't have to say anything.
So with the animal thing, I don't know. It would have to be.
Well, I mean, it would be similar to like the swine flu or something like that, where they could be just carriers for it, or it could be similar in that it's something that's shared between humans and one other animal.
And Resident Evil. Resident Evil has
Raccoon City.
Yeah, infected animals.
Which if you scramble raccoon, it spells
Corona.
Full circle.
It's all the same thing. No,
which was made by the Umbrella Corporation.
Under the idea that we're talking about humans versus non-humans being infected. Fuck you, Garrett. Oh, you did say something earlier. He said, "I love that this is the route we are going." Yeah, man. Why would you not talk about zombies having sex? What animals or creatures would get infected? These are all relevant questions. They're all important. Exactly. So, I think it would have to come down to like that's like DNA. Like every creature's DNAs are.
Yes, it does. I mean, maybe bananas are compatible with the virus. I mean, it's all given possibilities. Bananas are similar to humans in genetic structure. I mean, more similar than other animals.
Don't we have like a minimal I mean, obviously with like primates or whatever.
It's very similar. I think they have like one less gene or two less genes or something like that. There is a distinction, or clearly, clearly there's a distinction. I mean, genetic wise within genes.
The question I always find myself pondering is if this were to happen, no matter the variable,
okay,
they're just zombies.
Yes.
Everything else you can put it in any hypothetical you want. As a viewer, you could view any kind of zombies you want.
Only skaters are affected.
Yeah. 28 days later, Cargo, Resident Evil, I don't care what kind of zombies you're talking about, but in the sense of zombies, the question that always pops up in my head is the factor of deterioration.
Yeah.
This creature is dead.
Okay.
The only thing working in it is the brain forcing the muscular system, and obviously it has to digest food, otherwise it wouldn't want to eat.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, with that in mind, how long would it take this thing to deteriorate? You know what I mean?
Well, so first off, you have to consider how long a human can go without food in general. Which water is
7 days?
3 days, I believe.
Oh,
it may be 7 days. I mean, I think it really depends on lifestyle. I think at minimum it's like 3 days if you're well hydrated on the first day. And then with food, it's somewhere near a month, I believe, depending on how well your fat reserves are.
And then
some people last longer than others.
And then your activity, like what you're doing.
Yeah. So I think, it could be a situation to where like someone that is, out of shape and has access to water as a zombie would live a lot longer than somebody who was thin and frail and didn't. But also they could, have different digestive systems,
They did get big in Zombieland. And rats are similar as well. I think that's fair. I also think, I think the weather has a factor in that. Because,
what if it rains on your parade?
Yeah. But, like, if you're in a colder environment, that slows down the cardiovascular system.
It slows down your blood flow, but also restricts, the zombie's motion as well as it would a human. So, like, they can't move as adequately.
That's a lot. So, I'm trying to piece together...
Do you think that, assuming that zombies do exist in whatever sense we may have them, that they could live longer than the 28 days that a person can survive without food?
Thanks, Dakota. I appreciate that.
Well, I don't.
He said, "Look at my boy. That's me. I'm the boy."
Maybe I know a guy named Dakota. Maybe it's my Dakota.
No, it's definitely my Dakota.
Well, maybe my Dakota.
For sure, dude.
Maybe my Dakota is also proud of me. Do you consider that?
Maybe. All right. I'm going to let you carry a 30-second dialogue with the audience, since you have the audience, at your mitts. I'm going to be right back.
Okay, Tim is just going to abandon me.
I am.
Apparently.
You're going to carry... I want you to think about the survivability of a zombie. It has no sense of self. Its only thought process is to eat.
So, there is a type of fungus that I've talked to Tim about briefly, and I'm sure several people have at least heard of it, but it's like... Ophiocordyceps unilateralis, which is a fungi that affects specifically ants, and it spreads fairly quickly throughout their bodies, and it controls them in a certain sense. And so that's kind of a baseline of what I would go on for, like, how a zombie virus works. What's causing everything to break down is the virus causing cellular structure to break down. Garrett, your body breaks down if you don't eat is the only assumption I'm making. Tim, are you saying that the flesh actually rots? Because guess what Garrett's asking?
What?
He's asking if the virus breaks down flesh. I'm just assuming that your body wears out naturally from not eating.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess it all depends on what's functioning inside the body, but I'm talking about the body withering away.
Yeah, I'm just assuming that, the disease or whatever takes over as minimal as possible. So it takes over maybe one section of the brain or something like that, and then grows to envelop the rest of it. So there would be no deterioration of any other unnecessary muscle or anything like that, because that would be harmful for the virus as well.
That's an interesting prompt, though. Because, you do have viruses that are like kamikaze style. Yeah. Like their only purpose is to spread. Mm-hmm. So what if the virus did infect the host and began tearing away at the host, but it's only driving course while in a host?
So it affects any cell rather than just brain cells or
the brain. Kind of like I can't think of it, but its only driving course is to keep the infection going.
Well, there's several viruses that are like that, and so what I assume is that it would primarily go for softer tissues, maybe like brain, of course, maybe some muscle, a lot of fat reserves, things like that, skin cells, and they would begin to burst, and your body would deteriorate, and then it would go towards bones and things like that, because once the virus is replicated as much as it can within a cell, the cell does disintegrate, and so you would then have degrading muscles, and your brain would be going, so it would really shorten the zombie's lifestyle based on just how fast it can replicate. And so if
kind of like cancer, I guess.
Well, yeah, it's replicating, but then it's disappearing. Whereas with cancer, it just gets into a big tumor type shape. So rather than having an excess of something, you would have, or you'd be lacking it because it would turn into a virus and leave your body.
That's actually a good baseline. So it's like take cancer.
Anti-cancer, the movie.
Well, take cancer because cancer's goal is to grow and grow and grow and grow and grow and kill the host. Mm-hmm. But it has no purpose outside of killing the host that it's in.
Now, what if there was a form to treat cancer that mutated, like a type of virus that was supposed to specifically target cancer cells, and it mutated to affect other cells?
And turned it into cancer cells?
No.
Are you building the plot to a zombie film?
Yeah, so...
Before you do that,
okay,
I want to hold on to that, bench that. What do we think about the new virus from China?
Apparently it's treatable with either very high or very low temperatures and alcohol. So if you drink you a crisp Corona, apparently it will cease the Corona. That's what I've heard.
So put yourself in like a sauna and just drink a few beers.
Yeah, get some extra chill Corona.
Isn't it okay? So I might be totally ignorant.
Okay, you might. Yes, I agree.
But from my understanding, this is just a upgraded version of the flu, and it's just killing people.
I have no idea what the symptoms are or anything like that. I've only heard that it spread from China from an exotic food market that had they were serving snakes or something like that.
Sick, dude.
And it came from snakes. And so I don't, or something like that. If somebody can clarify that, that's cool, because I don't know. Anyways, apparently it's reaching, the far, what is it, West Coast, over near California and all that.
I think so. I heard it was in Canada and breached America, so it's here.
It's coming down that way. I mean, I don't know who it's all affected or who's died from it. It's kind of like the Zika virus. Like, I don't know any actual finite statistics. I haven't seen anything available on the news or internet anywhere.
I ain't scared of no super flu.
I'm not scared of the Kung flu.
I don't know. That's racist. I don't know what's going on.
Well, that's what there was a big petition to change it from the coronavirus to the Kung flu. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so build this movie. Let's go back. We talked about the coronavirus. So
you've got somebody has terminal cancer.
Give me a setting. Where are we at? Where in the world are we? Because this affects science here.
We're in New Mexico, Roswell, and
okay, go ahead.
This man has terminal brain cancer. Specifically, it has to be brain cancer because we're talking about a zombie virus.
Okay, so the treatment would be very aggressive in terms of radiation.
It would be similar to like a gamma ray, something like that, where they have to actually put you in a containment of some sort, and then they have to expose you to something. And in this case, instead of exposing you to like a radiation of some sort, they're exposing you to a virus that specifically is targeted towards brain cells that are tumorous. But if there was a strain of it that had adapted, the doctors had no idea that it had adapted in this way to where it could actually thrive off regular brain cells as well, then it would begin to deteriorate the brain.
Okay.
And so that could lead to possible fatality. So our first patient, this is what he dies from. They're not sure how it happened. And so they're still treating people in this way. And then you get another case, and it's in Virginia. And this person, his brain begins to deteriorate, and they think that he's forming some type of like retardation or something like that, like something very limiting to his mental capacity. But then one day he changes. And
then like what, the frontal lobe would be the only thing processing information?
Well, like say that it wasn't actually eating away at your brain; it was infesting it. It was actually taking over. So maybe he like lost his sense of smell and didn't notice it because he's older. He has cancer. You're usually up in age by the time you have something that's more terminal, or we're going to assume that in this case.
Yeah.
And so it's taking over smell or maybe some of his hearing or something like that, and he's not aware of it. Like it doesn't really affect him that much. But now it's gotten to some of the more control center parts of the brain. Okay. And so now he's acting bizarre. And they're not sure what's going on. And this is, again, one case. So they're trying to just help this one man out. They don't think it's going to spread, or they're not too concerned about it.
Yeah.
But then when it gets to the point to where it reaches other control centers, like vision and, taste and things like that, then there's a problem because he's no longer the conscious member of his body.
Okay. So let's take the brain.
Okay.
This virus has a function.
Yes.
As all viruses do.
Yes, it does.
So with this virus now having what I'm going to just say is complete control of the brain, obviously it's going to throw out the parts of the brain that are unimportant to it. Mm-hmm. So like my guess is it would throw out the bits of the brain that allow you to feel pain.
Okay.
Which means...
Would it know what those bits of the brain are? Because that's the nervous system.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe it would develop that later on, though, like it's...
As it evolves?
As it's going through and attacking people or whatever, because it's now gotten to the control center where it can move. So it's attacking hosts and somebody stabs back at it or somebody tries to make some repercussion before they get infected, which they do get infected because that's part of the movie that has to spread.
Yeah. But how would the... Wait. We got to fill that hole. This virus has to infest people.
Yes.
But it's brain cells, as of now, that are affected. How do you transfer the virus from being brain cells that are corrupted to being transferable? So
they had to get the virus into the patient somehow. So we could say it was an injection or something like that. I mean, easily that's a debatable case.
It's like a new chemo treatment. They like shooting shit into your veins.
Well, they don't. They use radiation with that, but they do put iodine, I think, in your system.
Something like that.
So that your rest of the surrounding area doesn't get radiated.
Yeah.
Say that they shot that in you and it travels through either your blood or your cerebrospinal fluid or something like that.
Yeah.
And so it's limited to blood or it's limited to, some sense of liquid or, liquid transfer.
Okay, so like your salivary glands.
Yeah, so like it could get into your saliva, but it would have to get into their blood if it was in your saliva. And so if the virus figures this out by biting something, or if it figures it out by, the old man, his skin's very frail and weak and he bleeds on somebody, or it contacts somebody in some way, then it could get them sick as well.
So for context for the viewers, what's just happened with this virus is it's taken a host, and it has essentially become an entirely new being. But
slowly, over time,
unlike most beings, where you have a sense of like, okay, I need to learn how to speak, I need to learn how to talk. This is natural to me. I learned this by watching. This creature has no sense of like. There's no sense of lineage. It's a new virus. So it's like, okay, I'm going to watch these things do these motions.
There's no cognitive process.
Yeah.
There's just functional processes. They don't think or anything. They just act based on what would cause them to survive.
Yeah, it's all adaptive.
As if they know, but this is a series of basically lucky guesses. So, like, it's only by happenstance that they're able to control the body as well as they do, or that, there's so many things that could go wrong for the virus to where it dies before it reaches another person.
So it would have
because it's in its infancy stage. It's on one person,
but it would still have a sense of self-preservation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And so then it can be transferred by liquids of any sort, or debatably.
Yeah.
So
I mean, for case in point, we're gonna stick with blood transference and salivary transference.
Yeah. Possibly seminal. We don't know.
Possibly seminal.
We don't know when it's going to get there because Tim keeps bringing it into this.
Which that's interesting because fast forward a couple phases of evolution in this pathogen's life, and the blood transference is a thing, but it's also at a point where it's done away with the ability to feel pain. The only cognitive reasoning is I need to eat something, etc., etc. You've become a zombie, essentially, is what I'm saying. That would mean, unlike in the movies, where you blast a zombie point blank, chop its head off, whatever, black congealed blood sprays everywhere. That would now become something to fear. Mm-hmm. Instead of just, all right, I have a club, you're a zombie, smash your skull in, you're not a problem anymore.
Yeah, there's a big thing in zombie movies where there's blood all over the person that just killed them or somebody nearby them. And, they're in shock, but they're not scared of the virus. But it could be that, it can be taken in through secretions of the skin. It could be taken in just by, 1 or 2 drops to the mouth or any other area, like your eye,
So you would, any form of combat, to be completely safe, you would need coverage. Because the skin's absorbent.
And it could be that, that helps people be more immune to it, is that, you only get a little bit in through the skin. It's possible that,
Like trace amounts. Yeah, that makes sense. That's depthy. All right, continue your growth.
And so now we're back at your point, which is how it would take over, feelings, how it would cut that off. So now,
what would it think is important?
So now it's infected three or four people at this point, and each of them have fought back. So it could be at the point to where the virus realizes that it can deteriorate the whole nervous system as extra energy, and then it doesn't feel this pain sensation.
Yeah.
And so then now there's a strain of that virus that's adapted into the brain. And so now there's a chance that not only will they get infected, but they'll get infected with the nervous system decaying zombie virus.
Yeah.
And so then it can transfer from there, and it can probably reinfect people that have already been infected with standard zombie virus because it's more than likely stronger. Because it's reinvented to improve itself.
And then something to keep in mind is obviously as soon as this becomes a thing, you're in New Mexico, that you're in America rather. Mm-hmm. As soon as this virus becomes an issue, which I think there's like a number of people it has to affect before like the National Board of Medicine or whatever will acknowledge it.
Human, what do they call it? It's in Atlanta, Georgia. It's the.
It's for human preservation. I know that.
They're a big virus place. I don't know. They have a big museum that has the only known bacteria for Legionnaire's disease. It's on a big water tank.
So, to keep in mind, this virus is doing this, is evolving and adapting and becoming something. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, once it gets to a certain point,
it has CDC, to start... the Center for Disease Control.
Yeah. It has to start dealing with antipathogens, like medicines. Because obviously, once... let me spitball a number, 150,000. Mm-hmm. Once you get 150,000 infections, the CDC is going to be like, okay, this is a problem. Like, at this point, it's an issue. We need to figure out a thing. So they're going to start testing. So now it has to deal with antibiotics and stuff like that.
And you also have to consider isolated cases because it might be that it's whenever 100 people are infected that they begin to look into it, but you would have to count across the United States. So by the time it gets to an actual 100 number, it's more than likely 200, 250. Mm. Because, if like 5 people are infected in Virginia, there could still be 100 in Wyoming, and we don't know that because no one was able to contact or something like that.
That's fair.
Because the zombie's not going to call and say, "Yep, I got one," So.
And then you got this.
But again, if it's a slow growing, they do have the 48 hours. They could, it could be that they're, on top of the case a lot faster than anticipated.
Then you have to consider the fact that humans are kind of stupid.
They are.
So. Depending on where this virus is in its life cycle, this could either be something that we nip in the bud very quickly, depending on how strong the pathogen is, or...
It also depends on, the humility of the doctor, because if they think that it's some disease and they're almost sure of it, but they can't be sure, if they still try to treat it as one disease, it could make things worse, or it could cause it to spread faster, because now they're getting, potential blood samples and things like that mixed in with other blood samples. And so then it's spread into patients that might be getting blood. It could be spread in... it could accelerate it,
Cut back to the beginning.
Cancer.
If this spurs from cancer, radiation and the treatments that they give you for cancer weaken the immune system, which means this thing would be spreading hellaciously.
Well, we could also say that they've done away with radiation at this point, because they're doing specifically a virus-based treatment. But if they did do radiation, it would rapidly increase zombification.
Yeah, because you're neutralizing the one thing that you need.
Yeah, because it basically puts a stagger on your whole immune system so that it doesn't treat the radiation before it treats the cancer. And so it's as far as I understand chemotherapy and things like that, it's where you want to radiate the cancer enough for it to die, but not radiate the rest of the body to where it dies. So it's like a race. Which one decays first?
All I know is America's, while I can say all day that we're built on self-preservation, we do put ourselves in some shitty circumstances.
Yes.
So I think with where we are socially, we would plummet in numbers. You know what I mean? Because people are going to want to be around people and not quarantine people because that's not right. So, I mean, you're going to have the people who are like, okay, these people are biting people. And then once these people get bit, they get like this too. We need to quarantine the people that we have and separate the problem from us. And then you're going to have protesters who are like, no, that's against their rights. You can do this. You can do this. You can't do that.
Well, have you seen that in China? They're building hospitals specifically for people with the coronavirus because they don't quite know how it spreads, I believe. I know that they're building hospitals specifically for people with coronavirus. And so, I mean, you can trace this tactic back to, like, historical times. In ancient Middle Eastern cultures, they would put people in leprosy in a different city. There would be a city just for people with leprosy.
Yeah.
And so it could be that we limit people like that because we have to, kind of like concentration camps. I mean, not to say that they'll be treated that poorly.
Yeah, not Holocaust, but just the term concentration camp doesn't mean Holocaust.
We're concentrating people
into a
with
camp.
a disease into one location, and they might have tents.
Just for context, because God knows you hear the word concentration camp, and you're like, oh, ah!
We're not killing them. We're not killing them yet.
Not Rick Grimes and anybody.
Now, that does bring something up though. Is there a point in their zombification? Because if it is a slow-growing virus, where there's a point of no return where you have to put them down, like if you were to collect them.
And then there's because we're gonna be working against ourselves.
Yeah.
Because the first couple phases of a zombie virus, if this shit happens in public, they're gonna tell you what they always tell you: call the police. Because if you go out and just start blasting zombies, you've murdered someone.
Capital punishment, right there.
So, what? It's martial law. That's when that's
also. If you were to shoot someone in broad daylight, say, bam, you shot them, and they had the zombie virus. Well, they then go to the morgue to be inspected, and then several people have to inspect them. If they don't know that it's an infectious blood because they don't have any records of that,
you've affected the people at the morgue.
Now, safety and control is now infected. Police department, morgue, hospital, all that is now being reinfected again.
Yeah, because they're dealing with dead people all day. Yeah, that's very, very...
So it seems like this is a situation with a lot of red tape because you can't get any fluids
on you
contacted, which makes it difficult. Now, if we were to go back to the classic biting scenario, it would probably transfer a lot slower. But who's to say that it wouldn't, because it's just based off saliva, which is, kind of, it would be strange that bacteria can only be through saliva, but it could be the case because bacteria, disease is strange. We don't really know how it works.
And if it's an early phase, because normally in these movies, the zombie virus has just started, or you're a few months, a few years in, or whatever. So, if it's a slow-moving virus, that can make sense. But, if you start a virus, let's say the one we're taking, it's a moderately fast-growing virus. So, cut 5 years in the future, then you're getting into the blood contact, and you're getting to the oil secretions and this, that, and the next thing.
And also, it would be strange for it to be a brain disease that couldn't travel through blood, because that's how it kind of has to get around the brain if it were to, travel. But, to be specifically saliva, you'd have to imply that there's something from the brain that translates to saliva, so it'd have to be blood-based, basically.
Yeah, you got to go to this. There's got to be a reason for you to go to the salivary glands.
I mean, it could be also that, whenever a zombie bites into somebody, that they don't understand the pressure and that it's tearing at their gums a little bit when they bite, causing blood to seep into the other victim,
And then I think something for the viewers to realize, I think zombies would be terrifying.
Yeah, they
would a fully formed zombie virus would be terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Because if the virus, like the one we're saying, like the one that is usually shown but not fully fleshed out in the movies, has the ability to only control the part of its brain that says, I'm hungry, I want to eat something.
Mm-hmm.
That means no other part of its brain is function. Well, that's the frontal lobe, right?
I guess I should.
Okay, there is a part of your brain. We talked about this in the car. Mm-hmm. There is a part of your brain that limits you altogether.
Your governor.
Yeah, you have a governor in your brain that says, hey, don't lift that, it's too heavy. Hey, don't bite that hard, it hurts. In this scenario, that would not be a thing. Mm-hmm. Which means...
Eventually, at some point.
Which means whatever the literal human limitation is what that zombie can do and surpass.
Because again, we're going from a virus that's not destroying any part of the brain. It's simply infecting each individual cell and, in a sense, taking it over.
Yeah.
And so it wouldn't necessarily take the governor off to begin with because it might think it's a necessary process. But once it makes the adaptation, because several iterations, it might just destroy different parts of the brain. But once one does, destroy the governor of the brain, whatever part of the brain that might be, in the correct way, then it could spread because of how strong it is now. Or just because of how much it's bleeding from, overexerting its body and like ripping at the skin and crushing its own bones and things like that.
Yeah. Which means like, take if you're wearing like Speedos. Leather. Oh. Yeah, Speedos. If you're wearing like, okay, you're lightly veteran to the zombie situation, but you don't go out there regularly. So you're like, all right, custom. Yeah, I'm gonna wear leather gloves. I'm gonna wear a leather jacket. I'm gonna wear leather because I know
that heavy metal's coming back from the zombie virus.
I can't bite through leather. So if I can't bite through leather, they can't bite through leather. But in this hypothetical, mm-hmm. that zombie is literally capable of biting down until its teeth break and then continuing to bite down. Mm-hmm. So with that,
that'd be kind of gross.
You've got the bruising and tearing and separating of muscle from bone from the pressure of the zombie biting down on the leather. And then you've got the teeth breaking, which is either going to form a jagged edge on the teeth from breaking at the root, or it's going to form gums, which comes down to bone, which is going to be significantly stronger than just regular enamel teeth. Mm-hmm. And then it's going to come down on that. Mm-hmm. That's a lot. Like, at your best outcome, you're coming out with a broken arm and muscle that's been pulled away from the bone. Like, there's just...
Yeah, even if it creates a full clamp on your arm without going through the leather, you're going to have some major muscle damage. So, I mean, leather armor will just be not very effective other than that you wouldn't die. I mean, potentially.
Yeah, and then if you were to wear steel armor, let's say you're dealing with a yoked up zombie, like, there's nothing telling it, hey, this metal's not going to give easy, stop. It's just going to continue to clamp and clamp and clamp until either the muscles shred apart or it breaks its own arms.
And I mean, it could also develop like natural inclinations, like dogs would do. If a dog can't bite through something, then it shakes it to like try to move whatever.
Yeah, holy crap, yeah.
So then, I mean, it could develop the sense of that to where, say you've collected license plates for years, and you've made a full set of armor of license plates.
Yeah, like plate armor.
Yeah. And so the zombie clamps down. If the zombie shakes your arm, it should theoretically have enough force to rip off whatever sleeve is there and then bite down again.
Expose the arm. And then there's... The teeth isn't the only tool, because if this thing is like, all right, I need to subdue the prey, bite down, and that's how I'm going to transfer my virus. The human body is capable of a lot. Mm-hmm. So to be able to grab and squeeze something beyond the limiters of your own mind, that's terrifying. That's like every single finger in every single arm is its own little vice grip.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if they were to figure out how to use their hands effectively, which, I mean, we're not going to assume that because they wouldn't, theoretically, in this scenario. I mean, they could slap at you with their arms, and they could, with how much force that is, still do major amounts of damage.
Yeah.
Even causing, plate mail or something like that to dent inwards or something like that, some kind of damage that would harm you even worse. I mean, kill you in general.
Everything becomes, every part of that thing's body that it has full cognitive use of becomes a weapon. Like a serious bludgeoning weapon. That's a lot, man. And then you have to think about countries are...
You gotta think companies are going to capitalize on this. They're going to have anti-zombie armor. They're going to be selling it.
That, like, I don't know. There's so many hypotheticals, so many situations. Because, like, given a circumstance, you could weaponize a zombie.
Yeah.
That's In this scenario, the fleshed out zombies that we're currently building in this moment, that's terrifying. Because like if they just deploy them in, let's say like these big pods,
yeah,
like cargo pods, and then just unleash them on towns, what are you gonna do?
So, also, in a similar vein, is there any way to end the zombie virus, like completely? Like, say they come up with a vaccine or something like that, or they kill all the zombies, will that stop the zombie virus? Because there's always an ending to the zombie movie.
Yeah, and then what do you do with?
Yeah, so like, is there a chance for a happy ending in a zombie situation?
I don't know, because I personally believe, with how long it would take the law to get involved, and then the repercussions of the law getting involved, and then how long it's going to take for total pandemonium, and then people to just start openly using guns without fear of repercussion, we will have lost an unfathomable amount of our population.
Yeah, so like the best situation that I can think of is taking a page from, Fallout. Say 60 people were able to get immunized. Most of them would still die from the zombie virus because the zombie doesn't know you're immune. It's still going to attack you.
Yeah, like it's still going to tear away at you.
So then you would have to get into the situation where people have to build shelters underground to live out until the zombies all die out as a breed. Which could also mean that they're killing other animals, killing other wildlife and everything. So it could be that whenever you come out of the vault, all there is plants. There's not even animals. And if there is animals, they're zombified. They're dangerous. I mean...
Which means the vegans won.
Yeah, the vegans would win in this situation, and we don't want that. That's still not a happy ending.
We don't want that. That's a sad ending.
What am I going to do? Eat turnips all day?
No.
Well,
not
I
a chance.
have to in that situation, but I wouldn't.
Okay, so there's another zombie trope that we should get into.
Okay.
The only way to take it down is destroy the brain.
Well, there was another trope that I wanted to bring up. Why do zombies even eat brains? Why would they specifically eat the brain? Because then there's no control center to the body.
See, I don't think that would be a thing in this case.
Yeah, in a realistic scenario. But why do you think that's an actual just thing in general?
Realistically, I don't know. Like back in the day when they came up with it, I think it's just because it's scary to imagine something gripping on your head. Yeah, I think it's just tropey to just imagine something eating away at your head.
I mean, it could be like a direct inject kind of thing. They figured out that that's where the control center is.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't eat it. They would more so just try to bite and infect it. Really.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, I think
if it was aware of the situation, or it would take one bite. It wouldn't try to eat the whole person. But then you have to nutrition versus survivability. Are they trying to keep the zombie body alive, or are they trying to zombify the next person?
I think the goal would just be bite, just tear away. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't matter where. Now, I think if these things are running off of like frontal brain motion, where it's just like I'm hungry, I know that my goal is to eat whatever that is in front of me.
Yeah, it could be that so say that a zombie attacks 10 people in one day, they could eat 2, maybe 3 of those people, and then only 7 people are infected and survive because it's killed 3 people because it has to eat.
Part of the brain has to be a few parts of the brain have to still be functional.
Yeah.
Because if the only part of the brain that's running is the front part, where it's like, hey, you're hungry, you know that you need to be animalistic, get these food, you don't want to feel pain, so cut this off, use this, short circuit to this. Okay, something in the brain has to say, I can't eat all of this because that defeats the purpose of what I'm doing in the end. So the primary function needs to be, okay, I'm hungry, I need to bite that.
Yeah. But
something else has to counter.
That's my primary thoughts most days.
Yeah. Yeah, something needs to become an imposing factor and be like, all right, I need to eat it, but I don't need to eat it down to bare bones because I need this to join. Yeah,
it seems like there's one too many steps of logic. So it would be more haphazardous whether they even affected the brain because they would be going for something soft that they could eat, theoretically.
Yeah, like muscle tissue. Well, muscle tissue is not soft, but given
softer than bone.
Yeah, for sure.
Because even if they were to attack the skull or whatever, they wouldn't be able to eat that as well as they would be able muscle tissue. So it's nothing to do with whether they can or can't chew through bone. It's more so that that's what they can actually take in and shred off.
Yeah.
But back to whatever you were saying about people shooting zombies in the skull.
Oh yeah.
Barrett 50 cal. That's what
if the only thing that's taking it down, if the only thing functioning to take it down is the brain.
Yeah.
That would mean every other organ has become irrelevant, which means this thing doesn't need to breathe. It doesn't need to circulate blood.
It wouldn't necessarily mean that because it still has to function as a human.
Which would mean the organs are important.
Yeah, which means that the heart still has to pump blood so that it can move the virus throughout the body. The lungs still have to breathe to keep the heart pumping. You know, the body tract still has to take in the food, digest it, so that the virus can infect.
Yeah, that's a trope that wouldn't be able to carry through. The body has to remain a body.
Yeah, so
like it's not a
like if
a vessel scenario.
If you were to shoot through something's heart and it were to stop beating, there's no way a virus can keep that alive. It can infect and maybe pseudo heal, as if there is a heart in one instance, but now it's been shot and it's able to heal faster because it's a zombie virus. It becomes something else entirely, like the mutants in like Fallout or something like that. They've now been able to heal faster because they're mutants.
And then
so then it could still be a brain situation where the brain's the only thing that can't heal fast enough, or that you have to shatter the brain. You have to, shotgun Kurt Cobain it,
Yeah. Cobain the brain?
Yeah. That's going to be the slogans at the gun stores from then on.
Cobain the brain. It's just a lot, man. And then the brain needs, one of the main things the brain needs is oxygen.
Yeah.
Which would mean the lungs are something that the host would want to protect.
But, to be fair, you only need one full lung. So, I mean, if they get impaled on one side, they might still be fine. They would just have shortness of breath, which they don't feel pain or anything like that. So they could be overexerting their lung to make up for the loss of one.
Which would just mean it'd probably be slower.
And they could have several problems in like their GI tract, things like that, like their liver, gallbladder, because they don't feel that pain. And so, like, even if their body does fill up with fluids, like you see with some zombies, that might be potentially fine because sepsis isn't a problem. They don't care if the body gets poisoned. They only care that they survive in the next few moments.
Yeah, so certain diseases and certain problems wouldn't be...
Yeah, it's more so a survivability for organs, but not necessarily, it's not going to be your immune system. It's not going to check for sepsis. It's not going to check for, anything that's not fatal.
Hypothermia, irrelevant.
It's not aware of it. So it would only check for basic functions. It's a very basic virus. Even though it sounds like it's doing a lot of things that are above basic, it's only trying to survive. Yeah,
that's crazy to think about. Like, it wouldn't die of hypothermia because the brain wouldn't tell the body, hey, you need to stop moving. Hey, we're shutting down now.
It would die of hypothermia. It wouldn't realize it. But so it would be freezing.
Oh, it would just be...
It would just freeze. It would...
But it would go on all cylinders until that moment.
Yeah, like so say it starts with hypothermia in the toes, it wouldn't be able to move its toes, but it might not even realize that because there's no functionality in the toes. It's not going to like grip someone's throat with its toes. But then it might grip the ground with its toes or something like that. So there could be like limited functionality, but without it, it's not going to panic. Because it's not sentient, it doesn't know.
Yeah.
And then once it reaches the ankle, it can't move its foot. There may be some awareness, but not much.
We have fluctuating viewers, but no comments, which lets me know one of two things. Either they really want to know how this story ends,
or nobody's
like thinking of what to add to the conversation. If you guys want to add to this conversation at all,
if you're vested, just let us know. Say, hey, I'm vested.
Yeah, feel free to contribute to this conversation. We're literally just building a zombie right now.
Yeah, because there's probably people going in and out, and they're just hearing random stuff. They're like, and now the zombie is playing pachinko in a senior citizen's home.
What the hell is this?
Do what?
And then so this virus.
Yeah. Not the coronavirus. We're not talking
about the coronavirus. Okay, so it's a very single track.
This is the Zomboys virus.
Yeah.
But yeah, so eventually it would have to freeze from hypothermia because hypothermia does limit the body, but it's not a case to where the brain is going to necessarily stop anything because whenever you're sick or whenever you're developing hypothermia, you don't really notice it. Your foot's just cold. And then you can't move it. And you may not even notice that for days. It's just like a regular person. And then your whole body freezes. And then you're dead because you can't move.
Yeah, the brain's just like, all right, bye.
Well, this is unfortunate.
It would be strange. Well, that would also mean that they'd be able... No. You wouldn't die of dehydration, I don't assume, because your stomach doesn't matter.
Well, you'll still die from it not being able to transfer nutrients and create more blood. There's still like, a factor to where dehydration does come into play, but it could mean that they last longer than the 7 days or 3 days or whatever it may be that someone can survive without water.
Yeah.
Because they have different water requirements. Or say that we're doing Walking Dead style. And there's some that are sprinters and some that are walkers. The walkers would last longer because they're not exerting themselves. There's no perspiration, or maybe perspiration doesn't exist. They don't. Whenever they overheat, it's something else entirely.
I think a terrifying factor for this is if
they're zombies.
If this virus is adaptive, and it can make obviously if it goes from being so baseline to the point where like, all right, we're gonna teach the body to do this, this, and this. Mm-hmm. It's gonna get to a point. I'm guessing at its apex, like when it fully realizes what it's capable of.
Zombocalypse Prime.
Yeah, these zombies are going to be able to sprint.
Yeah,
they're going to be cognitive enough.
Philosophers.
They're going to be enough to climb, potentially swim. Like they're going to be feral people.
Well, that's what I was saying, hitting it earlier, is that if they are able to heal their own organs in a sense to be a pseudo immune system, then it could develop further into mutants from fall. They have limited cognition. They're kind of retarded, but it could just be that they're now a young species of something else entirely. They're not zombies and they're not humans. They're just a different creature.
We'd lose.
Well, yeah,
11 times out of 10 we'd lose
because they're just a superior creature at that point because they have an immune system 2.0. They have bone structure and muscle mass 2.0. Everything is now enhanced by the virus rather than standard.
Like if they become,
which is why it's far fetched for a zombie virus to get to that point because it'd have to do so many things.
Like if it became sentient or conscious enough to make the host tactical, like if these creatures were able to sprint, swim, whatever they want,
if they were able to do basic war tactics, then
if they were able to strategize,
and just the most basic means is in to see someone and then think about how to take them down, rather than just have the natural inclination to go forward,
to just walk towards
and take down.
That's a wrap. Like there's no beating that.
Because then it only spawns on there. So that's why I'm assuming there's no cognition. There's no possibility for cognition, because then you would have symbiosis, which is where it's half virus, half human, and it's something new entirely. Like Venom and Spider-Man, things like that. Venom is controlled by Spider-Man, but Spider-Man is also influenced by Venom. They're having to work together.
Yeah.
And so we're assuming that this virus has no cognitive ability whatsoever, other than natural inclination, which it has to develop over time again, which is a lot of happenstance things that create the zombie virus. Because it's easier to say that a zombie virus is impossible because they get infected, they die or something like that. It's unable to spread, and then even if it does spread, it's unable to function to thrive. So there's so many limiters we have to assume, kind of like time travel or flying cars. We have to assume so many variables for it to happen. But once it does happen, it is something that it would be very difficult to just stop.
Yeah, I mean I don't know. It would. I feel like there's a point where we could succeed.
Okay.
Like early phases, we could probably succeed.
Or very late phases.
Yeah, or very well.
Because then you just have to outlive how many zombies are left.
Yeah, because but if they're becoming feral creatures, obviously they would learn.
You would also there have to be two factors. You have to outsurvive every zombie that exists, and you'd have to decipher an immunovirus. Because if there's no immunovirus, you can still get infected by the blood, the carnage that's left from what happened. And
then does the pathogen evolve to, while the host evolves, does the pathogen continue to evolve? Because if that's the case, it becomes a whole nother element. Because what if it goes from being a man-made, we distributed this, something went wrong, and now you're a zombie, to okay, now this pathogen is airborne, now it's seaborne,
and like. It could be the case to where, you have Zomboids 1.0, initial outbreak. And then you have where it combines with, like, the flu virus or something like that. They mutate together. Kind of like how, I don't know, if like fungi can bud together or, it's kind of like reproduction, but not really. Viruses can take in certain DNA from the cells, and if other DNA is there, they might not translate it all the way. So say, like, you have your 6 strands of zombie virus that goes into the virus core. Yep. If it sees an attachment of flu virus that it feels like is an improvement, there is a chance that it takes it into the core as well, as long as it's applicable. And so then you now have zombie virus 2.0. because it's now zombie virus and it's flu, and so then it travels.
And the flu, you can catch the flu just by living.
Just by walking past the wrong bathroom.
Yeah.
Just by walking past the right bathroom. Just by not getting vaccinated at your local hospital.
I don't like shots, so I don't fuck with all that.
It's almost as if Tim was offered a free chance to get his flu vaccination, and now he's going to get the zombie virus because he didn't.
I mean, I'll take it. That's whack, bro.
So now we're closing in on an hour. I think we're going for an hour, right?
Yeah, we're going for an hour.
So we're almost there. Yeah, we're an hour and 3 minutes, so we're almost there.
Yeah.
What is your ultimate decision on if a zombie virus can exist? What had happened if it would exist, and the survivability rating?
I feel like. Okay, so given the context,
you're going to take it from 3 different perspectives. What are the chances that it could actually happen? The chances that it could actually spread, and then the chances that it could actually spread to the whole world. So initial, middle, and teleological, or end.
Okay, so let's crack this down one at a time.
Well, yeah.
So
I'm telling all three at once.
The potential that it could.
Yes.
The potential that it could happen. I thoroughly believe that it probably won't, but I would not cancel out the idea that it could.
Okay.
Mainly because we're constantly fucking with stuff, and we're constantly trying to like.
Now, if you were to give me a number, what would it be? Percentage.
That it could happen.
Yeah, that it could happen.
In our lifetime or in existence?
Just in general.
I mean, it's so in and out, man. I'd have to go down the middle.
So 50-50?
Yeah.
All right.
Throughout all of existence.
Now, say it does exist, and it's got to like 1 or 2 people. What do you think the chances are that it's going to spread further? That it's going to have a large effect?
What was the initial transmission? Like, what caused it the first time?
Whatever you want it to be. It's happened. There's 2 or 3 people affected, and they don't know what to do from here. Nobody's reported it. The CDC is not unaware.
Okay, there are a couple variables that fluctuate my answer here. What kind of zombie is it?
We'll say it's just the basic situation we described earlier.
So the zombies that were just built here.
Yeah.
Are they top tier, or are they like?
This is a very, very, very initial stage. Very, very elementary.
Where are we at in the world?
America, because every zombie movie's in America, or apparently Korea and Australia. We saw those.
Is it in a wealthy area in America, or is it in a impoverished?
It's right down the middle.
Okay, so about middle class area.
Yes.
Are these zombies biting? Like, are they attempting to make physical contact with other people?
It is spread at least twice to your knowledge.
But I don't know how.
Nobody knows how. It's mystery.
Oh, it's unknown.
Well, yeah, it's just starting, and you're hearing it on the news.
It spread. Maybe not to a worldwide degree, but it would likely spread.
Give me a percentage of the population of either the world or America that you think it would reach.
I would say America, and this is all banking off of how we respond, which I could not tell you how we respond. Mm-hmm. But this is.
You can give me a variable percentage, like 20 to 50 or 20 to 30.
I think if it's in America, it's already affected 2 people, and
3 people. It had 1 initial case. It's now affected 2 others.
I think we would get at least. There's a lot of people in America, man.
That's why I say give me a percentage.
Somewhere fluctuating. If we take it seriously, like no fucking around. Okay. Maybe 7%, but that's of American population. That's a lot of fucking people.
Now, what if we're slacking? Because I say give a.
But if we do what I'm very cynical in this sense.
Okay.
If we fuck around, I personally believe if it's the zombies we're building, we could lose upwards of 60%, and I think that would be because people would start leaving, like trying to dip America.
Well, do you think that would then spread worldwide? Because maybe they
see, that's where I kind of trip over my own toes. Because I believe that if the rest of the world caught wind of what was going on, they'd close borders. Mm-hmm. Because, if it's... Given the circumstances, it's 60% of America. So this is a pandemic now.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to give a fuck about a treaty.
Okay.
Like, all alliances go out the window.
Okay.
Because people are going to look at us and be like, yeah, we may owe you money, or yeah, we may have a treaty with you.
Okay.
60% of your population are fucking zombies. You're not welcome here. We're closing borders.
Okay, now.
No, thank you.
It's made it to the final stages, and there's, we're going to say...
So we're on Zomboy 3.0.
Yeah, basically.
All right, hit me with it.
So we're going to say that 60%. We're going to go with your estimates. 60% of the United States is infected, and to add on to that, we're going to say that we know that 10% worldwide are infected, maybe even up to 30% worldwide. What do you think the chances are of humanity surviving? And if you do, what percent of people do you think will survive worldwide and in
This
America?
is 10% worldwide infestation.
Yeah.
60% of America's gone.
Yeah.
Very low.
Okay, so what that they survive just in general?
That we would make that. That we would win that.
Okay, so if there, what number would you give the chance?
The number of survivors, the percentage of survivors.
Yeah. Or just the percentage of chance of survival, so that we would win, like 10% chance we would win. Just that we would survive.
With stage 3 zombies.
Yeah.
So these are fucking creatures now. Like, they are strategizing.
No. They are just infecting. If you were to hide in a room, close the doors, they are not able to sense you in any way, you would survive. They have no ability to think or plot.
Are they running, sprinting, etc.?
Yeah, I mean, they can move free will. It's advanced to every point other than cognition.
Okay, so they're not thinking of ways to take me down.
No, that's impossible for a zombie. Once it can think, it's no longer a zombie. That's my...
America's gone.
Okay.
America's
gone. So you're
gone.
going to say that there's a 0% for America?
I'm going to say 0% for America.
Okay.
I mean, if there is...
Worldwide. What percentage of people do you think, or what percentage do you think there will be that people survive worldwide?
Somewhere between 12 and 18%.
Okay. And so what percentage of the population do you think will survive? Keeping in mind 10% are already infected.
Worldwide.
Yeah. And so you lose the rest of America, as you said. So it's at least 15% are infected, or maybe even 20%. So what percentage of people do you think will survive?
Somewhere between 40 to 55.
Will survive?
Mm.
Like percent?
Mm.
Okay, I thought you'd say a lot lower.
But that also depends on the 10% worldwide.
Mm-hmm.
What's the dispersal? Like,
you
is
could
it
assume at least one in every country, maybe 5 to every country.
5 zombies?
Yeah. Because see, I was thinking that China or somewhere like that would be taken over, unable to be stopped.
Yeah, China.
So I was thinking that you'd say survival rating of somewhere between 20 and maybe 5%. That's what I was thinking.
If it's I was thinking major clusters in like 1 or 2 areas. Mm-hmm. But if every country has like a total of 1 to 5, that drastically changes my percentages. Mm-hmm. Because you're limiting places to run to. Because it's kind of like a domino
We're going to
effect.
say that there's no place that's landlocked, basically. Your only assumption is, like, say Japan is off the coast of China. It's isolated from China. We're not going to assume there's no zombies there, because then that would limit it. That would make it unfair for the zombies. We're making it a fair situation for both sides.
So everywhere's got it.
Everywhere's got at least one. Even Papua New Guinea, small island off the coast of wherever.
And nobody said fuck you yet.
What do you mean?
Like, nobody's locked their borders up.
Well, we're assuming that they've made that decision too late. Like, maybe it's just one day too late. But they've gotten in Europe. They've gotten on most islands.
And the borders are open.
Well, they're closed now.
Oh, okay. But the countries are still... Oh, so they can't go, but no one can come.
Yeah.
That's drastic. That's really drastic. So, like, all alliances are out the window.
Yeah, see, they're now in a state of panic because America has so many zombies that they've closed down their borders, and now they're hearing of outbreaks in other countries, so they've closed down their borders, thereby locking in typically maybe 1 to 5 zombies per country.
There's something else to think about, man. People are going to start taking shots. People are going to fucking nuke either themselves or each other.
Well, see, then that just brings up the number of people that die. That doesn't.
We've got to account for the fact that we're going to be killing ourselves drastically.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So is your number still 50?
No.
Okay.
Not even in the slightest. Bro, I'd say total number of human beings surviving.
Mm-hmm. Well, percent. Don't say numbers, because then you could say like 8 million, and that's not.
Let's go on a good day, bad day ratio. Bad day, 4%.
Okay.
Good day, if I'm being honest with myself, somewhere.
Don't lie to the viewers. That's what they're here for.
Good day, 12%.
Okay.
Does that seem more ballpark to you?
That's what I thought. See, that's what I said. I thought you would say between 5 and 15%.
Man, we'd be so fucked.
Yeah, that's kind of. This is the late stage. Late stage, you're supposed to be in a very dire situation.
Yeah.
That's like if the whole world got the flu. At a certain point, it's a little bit late in the game either way.
What about you? What are your percentages?
So chances of it, first stage that it actually begins, I'd say there's like a 90% chance that some virus is synonymous with what we think of as zombie virus will occur sometime throughout time. I don't think it'll spread though, so I'm going to give that like a 10, maybe 5% chance that it ever gets anywhere. Even if two people are infected, it's not going to go anywhere because it's just such a low chance.
I mean, you can neutralize 2 people pretty easy.
Yeah, and if it's in the blood, the chance that it gets out of their blood and that it develops past that, it's just so small. And then once it gets worldwide, though, if something were to actually escalate, I'm going to say it's 5% chance that anybody survives it if it's gotten to every country, because to figure out that you have to move to a new country, that you have to move somewhere else that they're not at to not ever get the virus infected to you, because it could be that it ends and there's 20% left. 15% could still come in contact with like the blood of the zombies while they're cleaning it up, things like that.
Yep.
So the only like the 5 to 1% that actually moves to somewhere that's an isolated, like desolate island, somewhere that never got infected somehow. It's only just very marginal. There
are certain places that I think are doomed. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. Most third world countries are gone.
Africa's done.
Well, yeah,
there's no salvaging Africa.
Like maybe the Cape of Good Hope on the very bottom of South Africa has a chance just because they have more advanced technology. But there's just so much that's not to say that they're like primitive or anything. It's just that I don't know that their Center for Disease Controls or that their healthcare would be able to combat something like that to make it affordable.
That and there's too much going on there.
Yeah,
like they're at war with themselves constantly.
That's like the Middle East. There's so many things going on that who's to say that one country is not going to kill the other to make sure that they can have more immunovirus for themselves, or because they think that they're all zombies.
I think China's going to get it just because of overpopulation. Simply.
Yeah.
If you got one rotten fruit and it's every single angle of it's touching a fresh fruit, that's easy spread right there. Because all you got to do is reach out and grab somebody. And I'm not saying people in China are over there living shoulder to shoulder. But I'm also saying that at the same time.
But comparatively to like a lot of other countries, there is more living space where you can have acres and acres of land for yourself, or just less public areas, more privatized places in China. But yeah, so that's our opinions. So let's go ahead and wrap it up. It is an hour and 20 minutes so far.
Yeah. Let us know what you guys think of this kind of stuff. We could talk about more scenarios like this if you want.
Tell us how much you like this scenario. We're gonna try to have a topic for next week. It'll probably be something else, probably off entirely different than this. If you like these kind of topics, you want us to talk about movie topics like this, you want us to talk about if anything philosophical, just let us know.
We should talk about morality soon.
You should learn to be a moral person.
No, I know how to fake it till I make it though.
We can go through all of ethics. But yeah, we might talk about some more philosophical moralities and stuff. That might be what we do next week. Tim's gonna post and let you guys know. But yeah, let us know if you liked it. Make comments. Like our page. Keep updated. We have a YouTube channel. It's the same name, I believe.
Yeah, TwoPeas in a podcast.
Yeah, so just look us up. Let us know that you're invested so that we can stay invested. Because if not, we'll bail.
Right, real quick.
Captains don't stay on a sinking ship unless you're a dumb captain.
And then you die.
then you're a traditionalist, and well, good for you. But
we've all seen Titanic.
Yeah, I don't want a certain death, you know. Anyways, yeah, we're done. Say your piece. Well, you motioned it. Okay, I guess we're done. Bye.